hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakarakan, and on Street Talk we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Dr. Willie Davis,
Charles Thomas,
Ajit Meenad.
we got a lot to cover, but we're going to have Brother Davis to tell us about what's happening at the school.
I'm on the board of the El Hajj El Shabaz Academy, named after Malcolm X, and we were not reauthorized to start the new year off. And so we've had a battle to try to maintain the school as well as its assets to hopefully get a new administrator and then actually begin the school year. Just getting close to that now. We have been kind of fighting the dissolution of the school, which the board voted for. I voted against it, but as a board voted to dissolve the school and put it into receivership, which meant that all the assets would be redistributed to pay for whatever bills we owe, although we really weren't in any financial difficulty because the school has been paid for, and we've had the latest electronic equipment, Chromebooks, as well as smart boards as well. And we were actually poised for going back to our days of greatness when we made 8 years AYP. And we had a partnership agreement with the Michigan Department of Education, but Central Michigan decided not to reauthorize the school. We've been there for 24 years, and even though they signed on to the partnership agreement, which they said was a breach, but yet they signed it. So we've been kind of trying to maintain it, looking at it from three angles: community support, which has been great from a legal aspect, and then also trying to be reauthorized as well. And right now we're fighting the legal battle. We had filed a couple of legal briefs, but because they weren't filed by an attorney, we now have to find an attorney to carry this a little bit further. So we've been trying to look at attorneys trying to either pro bono or doing it on a commission basis or doing it again as a humanitarian act. So we're in the process of finding some type of legal prospect. So if anybody knows anyone, please send them our way. And so that's where we are now. We still have not been dissolved because a lot of the asset reassignment has to be done before that happens. So theoretically, we still are a corporation, and if we become reauthorized, we could go again. But again, we'd probably have to have another board meeting. And it was just has been a kind of a roller coaster piece, and we've looked at who has been looking at the school, especially in terms of it as a financial asset, because it's probably over $1 million in terms of assets that will be going to some entity, and perhaps even to develop another type of school. And we think that there may have been some dealings for that exact purpose, because it wasn't until May 7th that we were told we wouldn't be reauthorized, which didn't give us time to recruit students to do anything at all, since school ended that next month, within a month of that. So we've had to work with looking at trying to see where our students go to, et cetera, and so on. And that's kind of where we are now, trying to move into a legal basis. And as I said, to give you an idea of the day on June 27th, our contract ended the 30th with CMU. The CMU changed the constituency of the board so that they could get a quorum to dissolve it. And without the board voting on it, and it seems to be at the bequest of one of the board members to have the reduced, and CMU complied, which to me shows that they were somewhat involved in the dissolution. And so that's so, and I think it's been for a while that they've tried to get rid of the African-centered focus of the school itself. And that's been going on for some time, and I think they feel they may have succeeded, but we're still hanging on.
Okay.
Doc, you said you're looking for some legal assistance, and if anybody,
Yes.
Turn your way.
Yeah.
Could you tell them how they can get in touch?
My phone number is 517-214-1031, and my email is DAMANY Domini 384 at AOL.com.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Oh, you're
and for
welcome.
those of you out there listening, we hope you catch that and do whatever you can to provide some assistance to this worthy cause.
And we've had a number of legal briefs that have been submitted by legal consultants, but we still need an attorney to carry it further.
Yeah. Yeah, and then too, it's an asset to the community that it does, stay open.
Exactly, in terms of the economic viability of the school, especially in terms of its hiring of many Lansing residents.
Yeah.
So it was a strong economic part of the community, especially many African Americans as well.
But I noticed the last few times I've been out there, how it changed, because 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I'd walk in there and all of these black,
Egyptian figures.
all of these different things was there, and then all of a sudden it kind of faded down.
Yeah, that was definitely an attempt to water down the African and African-centered approach to not only the visual representation, but also trying to water down the content as well.
But you would think that they would have been proud of having school like that,
Let me give you a prime example. The Michigan Department of Education cited us for not following our mission. And that's interesting that a major institution, a non-black institution, cited us for not being African-centered enough.
Yeah, it's oxymoron.
So
how would they know?
Right. But they could see the changes that Amaha was seeing, the visual part of it, the curriculum being watered down, et cetera. So they could see it.
I know you want to move on to something else. But
Okay.
what connection we see between the school and, remember, the Black Child and Family Institute? Do you see anything similar going on there, trying to get rid of?
I think all of those institutions were trying to improve the situation, especially among African American children, especially poor children. The Black Child and Family Institute, and of course the family and education are linked. And the resources that the family has always has an impact on the educational achievement of the students. And in this situation, we had also community support as well.
Yeah, because I remember Sankofa. You know, the children, they were such inspiration to other children because of the level of excitement that they were getting out of the educational system that was established. And I miss that, you know. And I think we do need to know our roots.
And of course, the community, a number of community organizations use the building as well too. And we had an African drum and dance corps, which was also part of the music curriculum. People don't really realize that even within the statewide standards and benchmarks, leaves a lot of room to present material that has a basis in terms of African-centered history and heritage without cutting out with the curriculum. Is that not that it doesn't include others, but it makes sure that emphasis is there, and not only that just a reference to slavery. And it kind of covered the whole panorama of African American successes and issues that weren't successful.
Yeah, because other cultures have it.
Of course.
I mean, Cristo Rey, what was that they have the celebration?
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. You know? And I know Italians, they do their thing.
Oh, everyone.
Yeah. So why shun our community? You know?
I guess, speaking of that, it kind of boils down now to everybody else done got paid. Everybody else got paid but us. Now, after 256 years in slavery, we had a lady, Callie House.
Yeah, Callie House.
Who, back in 1800s, was trying to get reparations.
Exactly, attempting to get the soldiers who had fought in the Civil War, African American soldiers, get the same pensions that white soldiers had got. And so she set out to do that and created an organization to petition for that, and was successful. However, she still continued to fight for the rights of African Americans, and the system was upset with that, so it is essentially tried to silence her as well.
I think we were an amazing people, and our history is woven into American culture, and you can't separate it. And the wealth that America got out of slavery, and we didn't ask to come over here, and we are still like prisoners of war, and we have not got our just due, and things are working against us to keep us in a
subservient way. Keep us down. Everything is geared to push us down, and very little to push us up. So
even Hollywood is in on the mix.
The whole system is in on the mix. The system seems to exist with an African American population that's tied down. And that seems to fuel the engines. And so we can see that those who are benefiting from that fueling don't want the fuel to run out. So paying us would end that.
And I feel that's what they mean by patriotism. They're being patriotic to that effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Doc, now that we know from your understanding of what's going on, they want to keep you down. We have to keep ourselves up, right?
Exactly.
What are we going to do? What can we do to keep ourselves, lift ourselves up, rather than let them suppress us?
I think the whole reparations movement has been revived. We've had 3 events over the past couple years. I had mentioned too the National African American Reparations Commission, which is kind of came out of NCOBRA, which is the National Coalition for Blacks for Reparation. They had their conference in June and come out with a press release, as well as NARC has put together a 10-point plan to look at all these issues, economic, social, and cultural, that would pull us to where we need to be, and including money as well. Money, education, land, a number of things to bring us in par with where we should be.
Now, basically, when you go back, it talks about your 40 acres and a mule, right? Now, I don't think we're going to get the acreage, far less the mule.
Okay.
But what could be done to substitute, as it were, for the 40 acres and the mule? What could they give us in exchange for that, so that we can justly be compensated?
Well, there are a number of things that have been pushed forth. One, again, the right to land, funds for cooperative enterprises, and socially responsible entrepreneurial development, as well as resources for health and wellness and healing. So people have put together education for community development and empowerment. So people have put together a number of various things that have been, in many cases, affordable housing, information communication infrastructure, preserving black sites as well too. And then other groups have talked about certain amounts of money for the trillions of dollars that have been owed as well. So there are a number of ideas that have been put out, and somewhere they need to be put together to make a one demand, and then stick to developing the empowerment of that movement. We see it as can come up to all of the presidential candidates, and of course on June 19th, Juneteenth Day, they actually had a hearing in Congress for H.R. 40, which was introduced to study what reparations were, and that was submitted initially by John Conyers. And of course we had a brother out of Detroit who really galvanized the whole reparation movement. He was called Reparations Ray. And so from that we have seen some hopefully coalescing of various groups pulling for reparations.
I would think, though, that whilst all these different groups might mean well, one of the biggest problems we might have there is getting them together, meshing, welding together, whatever word you want to use there, and functioning for the better good of all. We don't want, or we shouldn't have anybody who is getting involved for personal selfish reasons. That will kill and destroy the whole movement.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, back to the 1800s. That's one of the things that killed the movement back then. We had few people had good jobs and everything back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, who had good jobs and saying, "Oh, I don't want them to give me nothing." And what a lot of us don't see they ain't gonna ever give you anything. You know, they never gonna give you anything.
You've earned it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
You got to realize that you earned it.
Well, Freddie Douglass probably said it best. You have to agitate.
Yeah.
And, nobody gives up privilege.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
White, black, red, or
Yeah.
green.
Right.
Yeah.
So it has to be demanded.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always had people who did things for self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
Churches haven't fallen because of self-interest. Businesses haven't fallen because of self-interest. So we're never going to have a situation where people are doing things that's
utopia.
not for.
Yeah.
I mean, even us who are doing it for our people, that's self-interest. So there's always going to be self-interest. It's just how do you manage those self-interest goals so that we pull together.
See, I'm looking at where, okay, Doc, you're on this committee. You are there because you want to really see this thing happen and for everybody to benefit. You're not going there and say, well, if I go on that committee, that would look good on my resume. You know?
Well,
some people get involved in things because it's something to add to their resume.
And I
but
personally,
we want people who are not looking for that type of thing.
I personally look for people who do that, because most times to put it on their resume, they do things, and I've seen it in a number of organizations that I've been in. They come and do things to get it on their resume, and you don't see them no more. But they've done something during that period of time to put it on their resume. So I don't run from that, because I don't see how you're going to ever know. There's no way I can judge whether a person is doing it for that or not. I mean, so we have to move in spite of that. And we have moved in spite of people who have turned their backs on us, and traitors among blacks. We still have advanced over the years, even with that element involved.
Where I'm coming from with that is that individually, if you want to get involved with this, question yourself, question your motives, and see whether it is for the better good of the entire populace, or it's just something for me. What's in it for me? You know, what's in it for me shouldn't be in any consideration. You're already a part of the group, so there will be something in it for you. So you don't have to be looking for anything additional.
I agree with you, that, and that's what people should do. How do you balance the individual versus the collective, which is always, I think, an issue with all of us. So we need to always push for the collective. That's why we have the rituals like Kwanzaa, looking at issues like Ma'at, looking at the Ten Commandments, for example. You know, any group of a set of rules are set for you to behave from a non-individual perspective, and so we need these reminders to remind us that it's not just me. But if people don't remind us, we will become me. I think I've been guilty of it. If I'm not in a group of people that have some type of moral code or structure, we tend to not act morally. You know.
Right.
We talked to. We was talking about some of the people who have been in this thing for years, but you mentioned some people after Marcus Garvey.
After Marcus Garvey, Queen Mother Moore, who was head of the Ethiopian Women's Association, she petitioned the UN not only on issues of genocide for African Americans, but also reparations for African Americans. And every group has, I think, has talked about those particular issues. And you'll find it on the agenda of almost every a group, nationalist group and others that have existed. And in 2001, there was a group of African Americans who went to Durban, South Africa, to look at that issue of genocide against people in the world, African Americans, and reparations was also a part of that as well too.
Right.
So the only thing, it just doesn't get mainstream attention.
Right.
And I think most people don't feel, because we know the history of America is to steal.
Mm-hmm.
So who thinks that those who steal gonna pay?
Right.
So most people don't believe that it's going to happen.
Right.
So it doesn't get that kind of push,
Right.
like say civil rights and then Black Power and those, because we knew that those were going to impact.
That's where I come in, that spirituality, because it's built into the universe. Truth will dominate lie. And if enough people send it out spiritually, the universe will assist you. And it don't take a lot of us, but the core must be spiritual. Then just the thinking of it to the right people, it'll make it happen. It'll bring it into being.
And Chicago's City Council has passed a couple of reparations bill, and a couple of international organizations have been paying back reparations. So it's gotten successes here and there, but no collective of success. But however, never have it's been national news like it's been now.
Right.
I've never seen this much attention where it actually becomes a question that you ask every presidential candidate. I mean, that so we may now, Wally,
because technology is a help.
I think there's going to be a successful end to this.
Now, bear in mind, I think the reason why the politicians today are talking about it, they have come to the point of realizing that without the blacks in this country, they can't make it. They cannot get into office because they need our votes.
Exactly.
So they have to say something to appease us. But we want to go beyond just trying to appease and make it happen. We want to see actual substance to the words.
Persistence.
You were saying?
Yeah, persistence to bring it about. Don't drop the ball, because that's our problem for a while. You can't give up. You just got to keep chipping away at it. And pressure makes a diamond.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's for sure.
Yes,
you were saying?
No, I think I'm just that it's on now. So, but again, we know that politicians, like you say things that please us to get our vote, and pretty much after that, if we don't keep the pressure on, if we don't keep the pressure on, and so ultimately it's us.
Right, it's our responsibility.
That comes down to us uniting.
It's us. Yeah.
Have a common goal, a common purpose, work together, and at the same time making sure we are rapping on the doors of the right people to make sure things happen.
Or knocking them down.
Quickly, you think after this election that reparation will still be talked about?
Definitely, because of technology.
Okay. We out of time, but we'll have to talk about this again.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki, and we'll catch you down in the next block. Peace.
All right.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Don't let anybody make you think that God knows America as his divine, messianic force to be, a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.